A brother of one of the three Kansas City Chief fans that were found in the backyard unalive has spoken out, and he's saying this stuff is just not adding up. I agree. Let's take a listen. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Pascal back at it again with another pop-up video. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias, The Pascal Show, one word. Hit that like button down below. Let's not forget to crush that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on Facebook, please be sure to crush that follow button on my Facebook page if this is your first time checking out this channel right here. Anyway, we got to get into this story. As you guys already know, I've been following diligently this case about the three men that were found unalive, froze to their demise in the backyard of a house. Okay, the renter or the tenant of that house was inside the house and allegedly was there for 2 days straight while his friends were in the backyard, gone. And unbeknownst to him, they were in the backyard. It's a very interesting situation. We've heard from this lawyer, Paserno, which you guys have heard. If you've been watching my lives recently, I have put in my 2 cents about Jordan Willis's lawyer, Paserno. I put in my 2 cents about this guy. And honestly, I think this dude really needs to stop getting in the interviews. Okay, stop doing interviews. You're just muddying up the waters and making things worse. But I wanted to share with you guys this because honestly, I agree. There's a video, there's an interview with Ricky Johnson's brother. Okay, it's like, I guess it's his half brother. And he's saying the same thing as we all are. This is the reason why it's gotten national, if not international attention, because the math ain't mathin', nothing's adding up. Paserno, the lawyer representing Willis, Jordan Willis, is out here saying all kinds of stuff, just saying everything under the sun, moving the goalposts left and right, up and down in circles, to the point where we're all scratching our heads going, wait a second, none of the math is mathin'. And of course, let's not forget, optically speaking, how long it took Jordan Willis to actually answer the door. The fact that he was getting text messages and phone calls incessantly by friends and family of the three men that were missing at the time, how he was just not answering any of their phone calls or text messages or Facebook messages, nothing. It seems a bit odd. Then obviously, let's not forget, there was a fifth mysterious dude that was involved in this whole situation, and the fact that he was actually, allegedly, what he claims through his lawyer, was contacting and sending text messages to Jordan as well. And Jordan was even ignoring those text messages and phone calls. It's a very odd situation. And of course, this is the reason why the world is reacting so hard to this, because again, the math is just not mathin'. But there's an interview done by Ricky Johnson's brother. A lot of the Ricky Johnson's family so far has been stepping forward and speaking out. Now we're hearing from his half brother. And I think this is extremely important, okay? And of course, devastating to hear nonetheless. But we got to take a listen to this because, again, if you're hearing everyone say the same thing, family members are all sitting here saying this is just not adding up right, something's up. Or something could be up. Let's get into this. Let's take a look at this. All right, it's time to rock and roll.
The Chiefs fans were found dead in the frozen backyard of their friend Jordan Willis more than 2 weeks ago. Willis's attorney admitting a fifth person was also in the house when Willis went to bed on the couch, where he slept for 2 days, he says, until his friends' bodies were found.
Before he fell asleep, they were going to leave. He actually escorted them to the door, said their goodbyes, opened the door. He went back on the couch and he crashed.
Now, I want to remind you, that piece of information we've already gone through with a fine-tooth comb, had deep discussions about all of this. He keeps changing his story. John Paserno, the lawyer representing Jordan Willis, has been changing the narrative over and over and over again. At first, it was him asleep and the guys were over there and he didn't know what happened. Then he says he passed out on the couch. Then there was another thing where he escorted them out the door and said sayonara, physically said goodbye to his friends, seeing them alive as they walked out the door. Like I said, there's too many different stories coming out of one person that's causing way too much confusion. Let's continue.
But that fifth person reportedly denying all of that. He claims that he left the house while the three friends and Willis were still awake watching Jeopardy! And insisting that he was not the last one to see them alive. Grieving family members, including our next guest, demanding answers. Jonathan Price. His brother was one of the men found in the backyard. His name was Ricky Johnson. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us. I know your family is just devastated. Everyone on this couch has a brother. You say things are not adding up. What do you mean?
Well, for one, like you guys just showed, does he know when they left or does he not? Does he know if his dogs were there? Does he not? There's way too many questions still needing to be answered.
Now, let me just say this really, really quick, okay? Because this is what's so frustrating about it. It's gone all the way down. The confusion has come all the way down to the fact that they don't even know if the dogs that Jordan Willis has, he has 2 dogs. He has 2 little pride and joys that were allegedly being dog sat. But now there's news, or at least there's reports of saying that the dogs were actually at the house. So many questions. Like I said, the lawyer saying, oh, his dad was dog sitting for him. Why would he dog sit for his son if those are his pride and joys? And it's not like these guys, I'm assuming we would have heard reports about these guys being deathly allergic to these dogs. So again, it just doesn't make any sense. What's the truth and what isn't the truth? The other thing I want to point out really quick before we continue, I'm still wondering, a fiance broke into the house. I'm wondering, did she see the dogs in the house when she broke into the house screaming inside the house before she found the first body perished on the patio? That's one thing I'm wondering. If anybody knows, please put it in the comment section down below, because I'd really like to know, were the dogs there or not? Again, the timeline is so mucked up. It's frustrating. Let's continue.
And nobody can answer those questions in honesty except for Jordan.
Yeah.
Yep.
The 5th person, he was there, but he wasn't there after a certain time frame.
Well, and didn't Jordan's attorney say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he saw his 4 friends out at the end of the night?
Yes, that's what he originally said. And then he kind of backtracked on it after the 5th person came out. And that's just the stuff that's not adding up.
Yeah.
If you have to change your story, then how do we know at any time were you telling the truth? It doesn't make any sense.
Too many inconsistencies. It makes it look suspicious as hell. And again, this guy could be completely innocent as far as the demise of these 3 men. It could be that. Really, we still have to leave that on the table. But at the same time, you keep changing your story. You keep changing the timeline. It makes you look very suspicious. Let's continue.
Jonathan, so many people, when we read this story for the first time, we thought, who sleeps on a couch for 2 days? How did that
That's
happen?
a good
What do you
point.
think happened?
I mean, that part makes no sense to me, especially when it seems like you're a responsible individual, a responsible enough individual to gain a PhD in what seems like a very complicated science. If you're one of those type of people, in order to sleep all day on a Monday, which I assume was a work day, if you're working from home, I mean, I don't know how that is possible.
There are some possibilities in regards to that, which I want to just exercise for 2 seconds. One, he could have been hungover as hell. Let's not forget that. He was hanging out with his boys, and it seems like they were definitely not reading the Bible and drinking Perrier. They were definitely not doing the Lord's work at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night. Okay. Ain't no way they were doing just, working on a Boy Scout project. Hail to the no. I guarantee you he was hungover as all get out, and maybe he was sleeping it in, like sleeping it off. Maybe. You see what I'm saying? Or he went on a bender. Let's not forget, there's plenty of functional addicts out here right in plain sight that don't admit an addiction, but they are able to function. They're able to do their job. They're able to do whatever they can so that they can continue to secure the bag. So I'm just going to put that out there. Doesn't mean that he is, does not mean that he's not. They could have been playing chess, parcheesi. They could have been crocheting all night. We don't know. But I'm telling you right now, when they allegedly left, when he said he saw them leave around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, that it's definitely not them cracking up the good old book and preaching the word. I'm just saying that real quick. Okay, let's keep it a buck.
I definitely wouldn't be able to do that.
It's being
And my
reported.
job's not nearly as complicated.
Yeah, it's being reported that Jordan Willis, the guy who owns the house, who was allegedly asleep on the couch for 2 days, is an accomplished scientist. What are police telling you?
Police have not told us a single thing. Not my mother. The last my mother heard was that they were still trying to get through the phones, and that was well over a week and a half ago.
And Clayton's fiance, Clayton is one of your brother's best friends. All three of them, I understand, were inseparable. Clayton's fiance had to break into the house 2 days later because she wasn't hearing from her fiance, right?
Yep.
Correct.
And then what did she find when she went into the house?
Well, she announced her presence. She made that very clear. And there was no answer from anybody. So she assumed that nobody was home. So she continued her search to where she, the official statement wasn't actually released. So I don't know who she found on the back porch. But as soon as she found someone on the back porch, she immediately called the police. And when the police showed up, that's when Jordan answered the door as if he had no idea anything was going on. And from there on, it was we haven't really gotten something we can call the truth from him anyway.
And that's crazy. Him showing up in his boxers with an empty wine glass in his hand, acting completely oblivious to the fact that there were three men unalive in his backyard. That is wild to me. And the fact that everyone, you got to remember, people were pounding on his door. But then suddenly he hears the cops knocking on his door. That's when he hears finally that somebody's rapping on his chamber door. Make that sense. Make that make sense. Again, that does not make any sense to me. You have selective hearing suddenly? You don't hear anything except when cops show up. Whoop, whoop. Now you give a damn. That's very weird. Okay? Again, none of this is adding up. And I agree with Ricky's brother. Real talk.
And then the three men were found in the backyard. Were they frozen to death?
Well, the official cause of death is not stated, but they do say at the very beginning that they did freeze to death. Yes.
Yeah. Were there any drugs involved? Have you gotten toxicology reports back?
Toxicology is still waiting for a couple weeks. They said that's the last we heard from Jordan's lawyer, because apparently they are anxiously waiting for that as well. I'm sure they would be, especially if he does know what's going on.
Jonathan, I know that the police are conducting this investigation, but what's your family going through, especially not having any answers?
That's the biggest thing is, I can't speak on all of my family, but for myself, it's been very difficult. And I don't think that I can ever fully heal until I find out what happened. And I'll never be fully healed. I admired my brother so much.
What was he like?
I looked up to him. Huge sports fan. Everything sports, no matter what it was. His three beautiful daughters, he loved them to death. You can see him when you look at them so much. They look just like him, and it's very difficult.
Heartbreaking.
How are they doing?
Well, not all of them understand. The older two, definitely going through a very hard time.
Gosh.
I'm not sure if the youngest one fully understands right now.
Right.
Being 4. So I'm not sure how much she's seeing online and everything. Yeah. But it's just very difficult to.
Jonathan, this is a very important story. Everyone is concerned about this because we all watch football. We've been watching the Chiefs, and we can all relate to this story. We go to, tailgates. We go to people's houses to watch games, and we all bring a dip or chips or whatever. And this happened to your family, and it's just so bizarre.
It is very, very bizarre, and of course, extremely heartbreaking to hear him talk about his brother. Just thinking about his brother and talking about his kids, his daughters that he's left behind, and how even the youngest one is still not old enough to fully compute the thought of life and death. That's some really hard stuff, and especially at some point they're going to have that hard discussion with their 4-year-old daughter about her father's passing. It's really heartbreaking, but nonetheless, family members are continually coming out and speaking out in large volumes, okay? And they're basically screaming from the rafters that the math ain't mathin'. They're screaming from the rafters that this whole thing is not adding up. And the thing is that this would have been different if Jordan conducted himself a little bit differently. If this tenant, the renter of this house, actually called police, dialed 911, simply dialed 911 as soon as he saw something amiss in his backyard. Let's just say that. Let's just say that they took something that was laced, right? If he just simply called 911, this would be a completely different outcome. But that didn't happen. And he's playing the note that he did not know, unbeknownst to him, that there were 3 men in the back of his house gone. Like I said, it's not making sense. It's very frustrating. And my condolences to the families and what they're going through. But we don't know what really happened. I know that there's a lot of theory and speculation flying all over the place, with people thinking that there's something more sinister going on. And there could very well be something more sinister going on. But then again, it could also just be a situation of them taking something that was tainted, and a guy that didn't know how to break the news to family, or was scared of maybe taking the blame and refused to dial 911 and just let it ride out. I don't know. Like I said, it's a very, very strange and odd mystery of a situation. Hopefully it will turn into a case, because something's rotten in Denmark. Is it because of Jordan, or is it because of something else? We're going to have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Where do you stand on this? I know that there is a lot of speculation and theories flying out the gate right now. Of course, we have to wait for autopsy. We have to wait for toxicology, which could take weeks from now. But I do understand the passion and concern about these 3 men. Again, without us bringing awareness to this, I don't think there'd be so much need for clarity, and hopefully we will get clarity and possible justice for these 3 men. And I hope it does happen in that way. Clarity and justice, if there needs to be justice. If it's tainted stuff that they took, I'm hoping they're able to trace that back and take those people who sold it to them, taking them down and stopping this type of stuff from happening, because that Fenty stuff is out here in these streets, and it is taking out a lot of people and a lot of our loved ones. So if that is what will be the end result of this, hey, that's another piece of judgment, a piece of justice that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Anyway, guys, again, that's the video. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to crush that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, crush that follow button on my Facebook page. It'd be great to have you part of the Pascal Show family on both platforms, all platforms, okay? Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And we'll talk soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.